My name is Violette Impellizzeri, and I'm a scientist at NRAO working in Chile. So I'm part of the staff, scientific staff that work here at ALMA. My role has two parts. The first part is operating the telescope. So we come here approximately once per month, and we run observations for the scientific community. We also make sure that the telescope is always calibrated, it's in good shape, that all the antennas are working well. On the other hand, I'm also a scientist, so I carry out my own research, using ALMA as well, but also using other telescopes. I'm a dedicated radio astronomer, and this is part of the reason I wanted to work at NRAO. So I've used all of the NRAO instruments for my own research. I've used the VLA, I've used the VLBA, the Green Bank telescope, and here I'm at ALMA as well. I'm using ALMA. I also worked with the NRAO, the optical telescope that's here in Chile. When I did my PhD in Germany, I was already doing radio astronomy at Max Planck Institute for Radio Astronomy in Bonn. And I was applying for jobs everywhere, also in Europe. And then I got an offer from NRAO, and I kind of chose that because it was coming to like the temple of radio astronomy, right? You go to the place where it's all happening. I was already using the instruments during my PhD time, so it was really, really exciting coming to Charlottesville. And then while I was there, I was, 1 year NRAO, you start hearing about ALMA, and it's overwhelming, right? It's everywhere, and I was getting quite excited, and the first data was coming out, the first test data was coming out at the time. It was still being commissioned, and it was a lot of momentum, and it caught the fever. It kind of went with it. It's really the excitement, no? There was no denying that ALMA was a great place to be, and so I applied for a couple of jobs down here, and I was very lucky to get one. When I was a PhD student, and I was using the VLA or VLBA, I was thinking, because I knew some people working in Socorro, how nice it must have been to be there at the time when the telescope was being built. So when the job opened here at ALMA, I was thinking, this is my chance to be the person at the time when the telescope is being built, just like they did back then at the VLA, for example. You learn so much about the instrument. You learn it from the inside when you're dealing with all the problems, all the issues, all the things that crash, they break, and you have to find errors and solve errors. You really get to know your instrument really, really well. And so I had a lot of respect for these astronomers and Socorro, for example. And it was it was really exciting thinking I could be doing the same thing in Chile. I wanted to be, at some point, I remember very young, an archaeologist. I like the idea of going off to remote places and dig and pick up some things and dust them off and try and figure out what they are and how they would fit in with the rest of the other objects, and then the particular historical context and what life must have been like at the time. Try to imagine being in that part. And I think I'm pretty much doing it now. We're looking up into space, we're looking into the distance, it's history, we're picking pieces, we're dusting them off with our telescopes and our software. We're analyzing and we're putting it together and trying to understand what's happening over there and how things came to be like they are in that place. I think it's very similar, so it kind of worked out.